Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's garden video. I thought I'd start it off a little bit different than I have in the past and show you some of our animals. This week, I ended up taking a look at the lettuces. These are all the lettuce starts that I had done, and yes, they're very small, barely even have true leaves on them, but my belief and my philosophy has always been get it into the ground as soon as you can. I don't like it when things become root bound in those small pots, and I also feel like if you get it in the ground early, the roots are going to develop really well, they're going to go deeper, they're going to have a stronger connection to the ground, and they're just going to do better. So that's kind of been my philosophy for the last 5 years, is get it in the ground pretty soon. So although they are very small, they'll survive. I mean, they've germinated, they're healthy, they're happy, and lettuce can tolerate some pretty cold weather, and we're going to have some cold weather this week. So at the beginning of the week, I went ahead and planted them all out and got them in the ground and watered them in and let them do their thing. Now it's going to be a while before they actually grow into mature plants, but I don't care. I like having them in the ground. Another thing I did this week is I always film myself on time lapse because first off, I don't have a lot of patience to watch myself real time, but also it's like mind-numbingly slow in my mind to see myself go real time. I don't know, it feels like back in if you get the reference of Finding Nemo in the whale, where she's talking whale, where she talks really slow. Anyway, that's how I feel. It feels like when I'm filming real time. So anyway, so almost everything is on time lapse, and sorry guys, I tried to do it, but I had to speed it up here. But because I'm doing things sequentially, you'll see me a couple times in the video start some new seeds, and it's the same process. I fill up these seed trays with some compost, I go ahead and make little holes in the top or whatever, and then I put the seeds on the top and either cover them or bury them and then water them in. It's pretty much the same thing, but it was a big part of my week this week, getting a lot of seeds started for a variety of different things. I did some spinach, I did some peas, I did some more lettuces, I did I forget what I did actually, I don't have a list in front of me, but quite a few seeds. I also did some annual flowers. I'm starting some of them as well. I want to get them going. So here you see sort of what the seed trays looked like midweek when I had done my main thing. And also I've got some onions and other things and beets that have already sprouted growing in the greenhouse. Now, just as I said, I love getting plants in the ground early. The smaller the plants are, the more susceptible they are to bug and other animal damage. And unfortunately, I did lose a lettuce or two to animals, but I'm going to say bugs in the garden, but that's okay. I share my garden with the bugs, and I know that I'm going to lose some of my plants. So I always overplant for what I need, and I always start more seeds than what I need, and I'll take care of that later. Now, this is kind of an interesting thing that I'm filming here. You're probably thinking what's going on, and I'm actually weeding. I don't really film this, but it was a big part of my week this week, is in my walkways, in my pathways, I have so many weeds this time of year. It's the Northwest, things are warming up and weeds are taking off. And specifically in my garden, I have these little tiny grasses that are all about 1 inch high that I would normally just like leave and maybe try to spray with vinegar or something, but they go to seed early. They go to seed this time of year. So they've got all these little seed pods on them, and they're actually grasses, so they've got seed heads, I guess. And if I don't pick them out by the roots, they'll grow back. So I spend a lot of time weeding by hand down to the roots. I don't use a hoe. I don't just kind of mix up the soil, because my experience has been they just kind of keep growing in that, unless it's really hot, and then the heat will kill the roots. So anyway, this is kind of a weird video for me to show, but spent so much time this week, always with helpers, but weeding out weeds as well, but a lot of grass. And when all was said and done, I had over a half of a bucket full of just little teeny tiny weeds. So it was kind of crazy. This is my rhubarb, and it's starting to bloom, which is great, or starting to grow. I'm excited about that. And you did see this earlier, and you're seeing it again, but this is me kind of planting out some more lettuces. Since I had lost some lettuces, I'm just kind of replanting some. But there's a look at my garlic. It's doing great. It's growing in just fine. I like to go kind of week by week and kind of show you what's happening in the garden. This is a row of strawberries that I have planted around the edge of my dahlias. All the little runners my strawberry patch was sending off, I picked up and planted, and those are doing fine. These are my beets that I've overwintered because I want them to go to seed. I'm hoping I'll have great seed pods from them. My raspberries here, they're starting to come in, so you see them in the ground. And then I also have a mint in the ground in a pot so that it can't spread, because everyone knows how mint spreads. These are my onions, nothing really to see here, but they just kind of were sitting in the garage and started sprouting, so I put them in the ground. Here's my larger strawberry patch. Most of them are doing pretty well. I'm surprised that some of them aren't doing as well, and I wonder if I have multiple varieties. But anyway, overall they're doing great. And this is a kale plant that I have that are overwintered that's going to seed. And then later in the week, a couple days later, I just went out and took a look at the lettuces. They're hard to see in this view because they're small and they're against dark ground, but the lettuces, aside from the couple I lost from bugs, are doing great. I also have a lot of broccoli that is either going to flower or getting a little bigger, so I decided to harvest it. And then, of course, it was a super windy day, set up my camera, and then my camera immediately fell over, so that's the view you get of me harvesting my broccoli. I also thought, since our emu had been laying eggs, I thought it was kind of weird and maybe our chickens were laying eggs, and I checked the coop, and by gosh, one of our chickens had laid eggs, and the chicken who did it is named Rosa. She's the black one there. And Cedar, the other one behind her, might be laying eggs, but I haven't been able to find them yet. And here, towards the end of the week, I ended up having all of my cauliflower had sprouted, which is great. I just like them in the greenhouse germinating. And then again, a lot of people wait till they're bigger and have more established roots. I have had success just pulling them out and separating them out into small individual pods at this stage if you're very careful with the root. And so basically I took all of my cauliflower and put it into individual pods, and now I'll let it grow up there for, I don't know, for 4 more weeks before I put it in the ground. We'll see how it goes. You've seen me do this throughout the week, but throughout the week I just kept planting more and more plants. And at the end of the week I actually started some cabbage. I want to get those seeds going. So here you see me doing that. And I don't typically show you guys what varieties I'm doing. I know what they are because I've got my seed pack and I know what's going on, but it's not something I share with you guys. There are things that have worked for me in the past, and so I keep using them. But in this particular case I'm doing Golden Acre cabbages, green cabbages, and I have a whole tray full of them. And I have these little handwritten tags on them as well. And on the back, it's hard to see because my Sharpie is faded, but it does say golden, so I do know what variety I have, and I keep track of that. And I will give these, leave them in the greenhouse to sort of start germinating. And this is sort of the status of all of the seedlings that are in the greenhouse that are germinating and growing up. And at the end of this video, I thought I'd just leave you with a shot of the emu and the goat who would become super best friends.